Hey, fun friends. It is Sunday evening, and I'm just out of the pool in a shower, and I got thinking, we haven't had a chat in a long time. I've been traveling a lot, as you've been able to see, and kind of getting around the world and around Florida and just sightseeing and everything. But we haven't had a talk in a while. And so I thought, tonight's the night with my soggy hair. We'll sit and have a sisterly chat. So one of the things I was thinking about this week and this weekend was about traveling. And it was about why I love traveling and why I feel like it expands me as a human being, it broadens my horizons, it broadens my outlook on people and places and culture and things like that. And I firmly believe, I got thinking about this, I firmly believe that people who travel, whether it's in your own country or another country, I believe that those people tend to be less racist, less judgmental. I think that we're all brought up with certain influences. It can be from our parents, it can be from our neighborhood, it can be from our surroundings, it can be from the school we went to, it could be from, I don't know, just, what you see in the news and so forth. It can also be cultural in your community. And I think that, like, even right here in the United States, I'm not even talking about I'm not talking about even race. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about where people are from. There's like racism and typecasting, stereotyping against Southern people, New Yorkers, New Jersey, Californians, Texans, wherever, Arkansas, wherever you're from. Somebody's got some sort of a Florida man. Somebody's got something to say about where you're from. And I think that unless you've spent time in a place like that, sometimes it's just fun or funny, but it's not when you're judging an entire community or culture based. Oh, that was Amazon telling me, sorry. When you're judging an entire community, geez, God, on who they are based upon where they're from. And I think that what made me think about this was when I went to France recently. And I love France. I used to live in Europe for a number of years. My husband, you may or may not know, is from Northern Ireland. And certainly I had a lot of preconceived notions about what Northern Ireland was when I first met him. Some of them were true, but most of them weren't. And the people in general were wonderful. There's bad bits about any country. There's bad bits about any neighborhood, I guess. But, everybody is not one person. Everybody is not one demographic of people. And I think the more you travel, the more you get around, the more you'll see that, the more you'll find that out. So, for example, when I go to the South, I find everyone to be very genteel, very hospitable. The food is delicious. It's not all fried, although there is a lot of fried food in the South and a lot of sugar and things like that. But you know what? Sometimes that's fun. It's different. But the people, certainly not stupid, certainly not like they make Southerners out to be slow or to be racist or to be this or that. It's just not true. It's simply not true. And yes, you're going to find that in any community. The other thing is, I remember when I went to Paris, when I went to France. Now, I had been to Paris and I had been to south of France before. So I've done that already. So I already knew that I loved France. But I took my mom this time and she had never been. And so, her whole life she heard, oh, French people are rude. French people hate Americans. French people are this. French people have never been anything but kind and nice to me. I've been told, oh, they won't talk to you if you don't speak their language. I've been told, don't try to speak their language because you'll insult them and they'll sound. What they do is often, what they will do is when you try to speak their language, because it is a difficult language to get the hang of, even if you know the words, it's not the pronunciation, things like that, it's different. And so they can often tell if you're not a native speaker. So they will switch to English. A lot of them speak English and they'll switch to English to try to accommodate you. So it isn't that they're ignoring your attempt to speak their language. It's that they're trying to be more conscientious of what is comfortable to you as a guest in their country. In America, we tend to feel like we have to cater to every person, every culture, and we have to assimilate to their culture. That seems to be sort of the MO now in our country. You don't find that so much in other countries. In other countries, you're expected to assimilate to their culture. They will be polite, they will try to speak your language, but you're not going to go, for example, when I went to Japan, you're not going to get choices over there. You're not going to get, when I say choices, you're not going to get options to change what's on their menu. For example, if you wanted to order green beans almondine or something in it, and you're allergic to almonds, and you ask them not to put almonds on it, you're not going to get that, because they're going to assume that if you're allergic to almonds, you're going to order something else that doesn't have almonds in it. There's efficiencies there, and they don't change those efficiencies to suit your diet. So they will expect that you would change your own choices to something that suits your diet. So that's kind of a little bit of a different thing. And same in France, you have times of the day that you eat. There's things that they take time with their food. They prepare their food meticulously. Even if you go to a garage, the sandwiches you get in the garage are good food. But you're not necessarily going to find fast food on every corner. Yes, they do have some now, but you're not going to find that. So if you're used to only eating chicken McNuggets and French fries in France, you're not getting it. Maybe downtown Paris, but even the McDonald's in Paris is different from what you're used to. So I think that people, when they travel, particularly, when you go abroad, you have to know that you're going to have to assimilate a little bit to their culture. It's not like it is here in the States, where you're going to have to, where it's the opposite is usually true. But, back to what I was talking about, the sort of whole aspect of judging people based on where they're from. And that aligns a little bit with racism. It also, maybe I'm not saying it right, but it kind of is to me. Certainly bigotry, social bigotry against other people, and based upon stereotypes, based upon something you heard. And I tend to believe that most of the time when that happens, it happens with people who don't actually know anyone from France. How many French friends do you have? How many that are natively from there? You may have a lot, but if you do, then you're going to know automatically that the stereotypes you see and hear are just exactly that. It's the same thing with when I lived in Europe. Like my husband being from Ireland, his idea of what an American sounds like is to say, "Howdy, partner," which is so silly because nobody says that, and he's learned over the years as well. But it's everybody does it. It's not just Americans. He does it too about other cultures. People. When I went, certain people that I knew when I went to France went, why do you want to go there? Well, because it's beautiful. The food's amazing. The people are nice. It's culturally rich. There's 1,000 reasons why I'd want to go to France, and all of them are wonderful. Does that mean that it's a perfect place to live for everybody? No, probably not. But I sure live there for a little bit if I had to, or not if I had to, if I had a chance is what I mean. Same thing with going to Mexico. People think, oh, it's dangerous there. You can't go to, well, sure, there's dangerous places there. There's dangerous places in America that I wouldn't walk at night. There's also plenty of really wonderful places and amazing people and food and culture. So you have to just kind of use your sense when you're traveling. You have to plan. If you've never been somewhere before, plan a little bit. Look into where you're going. Use your smarts. Don't go out there. If I go downtown, in the middle of Paris in the touristy district, I'm not running around with a bum bag on my hip, snapping pictures everywhere with my camera out, because that just screams tourist. And yeah, somebody might ride by on a bike and snatch your phone out of your hand, but they're going to do the exact same thing to you in Chicago or New York or any other big city. It's not any different than any major city anywhere. I'm trying to think of some other things that I was thinking about. So, when you have, another thing that bothered me was when I went on my trip, there were a couple of people. I was so excited about my trip. I loved where I went. I spent a lot of money on it. I saved money. I worked really hard to go there. And it's one of my favorite places that I hold dear to me that I've ever traveled to. I was excited to take my mom there. And yet I had a couple people that were making some really snide remarks about it being France. You know, what are you talking about? Have you ever been to France? You know, are we talking about some war from the past that you weren't even a part of? Are we talking about something you saw in the news? Are we talking about because their politics might be a little different from yours? So half the country, your politics are different from yours. So how does that make it any different? And to me, I find that is rude and hurtful to diminish something that someone loves or enjoys because you're ignorant about what it is. So keep that in mind when you're passing judgment on things, on people and places and so forth. Try broadening your horizons a little bit yourself. Try getting out of your own bubble. Try traveling someplace that you've never been before. Try looking into not just in the United States or your own country, but in another country. Try broadening those horizons and researching before you pass judgment on places, because everything you see in the news isn't the truth. And everything you see in the news, a lot of what you see in the news is created to put this agenda in front of you. So just remember that and be smart. Use your own brain, use your own smarts, use your own judgment before you judge others. Just check and see if you even know what you're talking about first before you open your mouth. So that's all I've got to say tonight, guys. Sorry about the hair. But anyway, I hope everyone is having a wonderful week. I hope you guys take a little something away from this and give it some food for thought. Care about all of you. Happy to have you here. Grateful for you spending time with me. I'm Holly. I'm your fun sister. Please like, subscribe, and share.